So began the battle of the 5 armies, and it was very terrible. Upon one side were the goblins and the wild wolves, and upon the other were elves and men and dwarves. Ever since the fall of the great goblin of the Misty Mountains, the hatred of their race for the dwarves had been rekindled to fury. Not even the ravens knew of their coming until they came out of the broken lands which divided the lonely mountain from the hills behind. How much Gandalf knew cannot be said, but it is plain that he had not expected this sudden assault. This is the plan he made in council with the Elven King, and with Bard, and with Dane. For the goblins were the foes of all, and at their coming all other quarrels were forgotten. Their only hope was to lure the goblins into the valley between the arms of the mountain, and themselves to man the great spurs that struck south and east. Yet this would be perilous if the goblins were in sufficient numbers to overrun the mountain itself, and so attack them from behind and above. But there was no time to make any other plan, or to summon any help. "To the mountain!" called Bard. "To the mountain! Let us take our places while there is yet time!" Ere long the vanguard swirled round the spur's end and came rushing into Dale. These were the swiftest wolf riders, and already their cries and howls rent the air afar. As Gandalf had hoped, the goblin army had gathered behind the resisted vanguard, and poured now in rage into the valley, driving wildly up between the arms of the mountain, seeking for the foe. It was a terrible battle, the most dreadful of all Bilbo's experiences, and the one which at the time he hated most, although he was quite unimportant in it. Actually, I may say, he put on his ring early in the business and vanished from sight, if not from all danger. The elves were the first to charge. As soon as the host of their enemies was dense in the valley, they sent against it a shower of arrows. Behind the arrows, 1,000 of their spearmen leapt down and charged. Just as the goblins were recovering from the onslaught, and the elf charge was halted, there rose from across the valley a deep-throated roar, with cries of "Moriah" and "Dane, Dane!" The dwarves of the Iron Hills plunged in, and beside them came the men of the lake with long swords. Panic came upon the goblins, and even as they turned to meet this new attack, the elves charged again with renewed numbers. Victory seemed at hand, when a cry rang out on the heights above. Goblins had scaled the mountain from the other side, and already many were on the slopes above the gate, and others were streaming down recklessly to attack the spurs from above, and the defenders had too few to bar the way for long. Victory now vanished from hope. They had only stemmed the first onslaught of the black tide. Day drew on. The goblins gathered again in the valley. There a host of wargs came ravening, and with them came the bodyguard of Bolg, goblins of huge size with scimitars of steel. Now Bard was fighting to defend the eastern spur, and yet giving slowly back, and the elf lords were at bay about their king upon the southern arm, near to the watchpost on Raven Hill. Suddenly there was a great shout, and from the gate came a trumpet call. They had forgotten Thorin. Out leapt the king under the mountain, and his companions followed him. They were in shining armor, and red light leapt from their eyes. Rocks were hurled down from on high by the goblins above, but they held on, leapt down to the fall's foot, and rushed forward to battle. Wolf and rider fell or fled before them. Thorin wielded his axe with mighty strokes, and nothing seemed to harm him. Suddenly there was a great shout, and from the gate came a trumpet call. They had forgotten Thorin. Out leapt the king under the mountain, and his companions followed him. They were in shining armor, and red light leapt from their eyes. Rocks were hurled down from on high by the goblins above, but they held on, leapt down to the fall's foot, and rushed forward to battle. Wolf and rider fell or fled before them. Thorin wielded his axe with mighty strokes, and nothing seemed to harm him. To me, elves and men, to me, O my kinsfolk, he cried. Down, heedless of order, rushed all the dwarves of Dane to his help. Down, too, came many of the lake men, for Bard could not restrain them. The wargs were scattered, and Thorin drove right against the bodyguard of Bolg.